Well, you could impersonate the police and kidnap
yeah.
someone or steal their car over
Right,
this. We were just
Well-
we were talking to a colleague of ours here at the Hill who had their car stolen not in District of Columbia. That can lend itself toward bad actors taking advantage of people.
Well, sorry to cut across you, but I mean, in the terrible killings in Minnesota just recently, that guy allegedly was, I think, dressed in some fashion as a law enforcement officer. So,
yeah. Well, and in that case, he was impersonating. Yeah, he was actually impersonating a law enforcement. I'm saying if it's unclear, and people will react. You know, if you think you're being attacked by just some masked assailant,
right.
Some of these people are harder. This is hard to tell apart from Antifa or the Proud Boys or whatever crazy people at riots. You might act defensively, and then you'll get charged for fighting with a police officer. So I don't want to go down that route. And like Joe Rogan said, I mean, Joe Rogan outlined the exact sort of immigration policy that is more in line with what I would support. There is clearly a mandate to do something about illegal immigration and to prioritize the deportation, I say this all the time, of violent criminals, of gang-affiliated criminals, of terrorist sympathizing people, whatever. I don't think there is a mandate, and I don't want the immigration authorities to, be just hanging out in the parking lots of Home Depot or wherever else, and stopping people who just look Mexican and on suspicion. I mean, this involves now racial profiling, harassing people who are otherwise law-abiding, who are working, who have been here a long time, who are American on some level, and it just seems like, why are we doing that? I know there are now. That is my view. That is not the view of everyone in the MAGA coalition. Right. So we cannot ignore the fact that there are conservatives who want to get all of those illegal immigrants gone. Or I guess their feeling is, well, maybe we're not prioritizing those, but if you happen to apprehend one, doesn't matter if they've not committed any other crimes. This is what I voted to get rid of this person, and I don't care how nice they are, or how law-abiding they are, or how hardworking they are. They broke the laws to come into this country, and so they got to go. Right. We're not starting with them, but if we happen to apprehend someone who fits that description, well, then they're going to go.
Right. So in Rogan's case, I take him at his word that he is sincerely upset by these things that we're seeing outside Home Depots and all of that, and he doesn't believe that is what he himself wanted. Mm-hmm. Where I have trouble with it is the surprise he is expressing that a Trump administration would do such a thing. Because Trump on the campaign trail repeatedly said he would mount the largest mass deportation program in American history. He talked about illegal migrants generally poisoning the blood of our country. He promised to take away birthright citizenship, which by its nature, obviously, affects infants and babies. So the idea that Donald Trump was going to carry out this sort of carefully calibrated immigration policy, I've no idea where Joe Rogan gets that idea from. That's not what Trump said.
Well,
and I think there's I do think there's a broader issue here of people who, at least at one point, were supportive of Trump, throwing up their hands or clutching their pearls at stuff that he has plainly telegraphed that he is going to do in the case of immigration, or in relation to the broader issue about his authoritarian tendencies. Those are in plain sight. He has repeatedly talked about punishing or knocking out various pillars of dissent in this society, media, colleges, etc. And so opposition party being described as vermin, things like that. So this idea that people react to Trump by saying, oh, we never knew. Of course you knew. He said it.
Well, I think on the immigration stuff specifically, you can plausibly think that rhetoric was usually harsh rhetoric, but usually in conjunction with gang members, thugs, the people who are coming in who are causing violence and disorder, not, just workers. And Trump himself clearly has a more sympathetic view to the people who are just the workers. He's gone back and forth a couple times in ways that I find frustrating. It is Stephen Miller takes the view that they all have to go.
Right.
I genuinely don't think that is really Trump's view. And then he is someone who has a lot of different people in this coalition. Elon Musk is clearly more for at least for high-skilled immigrants. He wants more of them. But then you have Stephen Miller, and you have an actual argument going on. So I maybe on this one, I think I hear your point generally. I think maybe on immigration specifically, it is not so absurd for Joe Rogan-type people to think this was really just about gang members or something.
I mean, just briefly on that, I mean, it is true that Trump often talks about violent criminals and all of that. It's also true that he casts illegal immigration generally as an invasion of our country. So I think he sees the act itself as inherently criminal and worthy of punishment. And with, you know, we could have a whole debate about whether that's right or wrong, but the fact that he believes it isn't a secret. In any event, former Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil is speaking out after he was released from ICE custody over the weekend. We'll hear what he has to say next.